White Tailgate Podcast. Andrew Calista, Mike Rose, and Frank Bodani. Pre-Fiesta Bowl special for the Boise State Broncos. And to talk about the Broncos, we bring in their award-winning play-by-play man, Bob Beeler. Bob, thank you so much for joining us here on the podcast.
A lot of fun. Looking forward to it. We were over at the stadium this morning setting up our radio gear, and they're getting everything decked out and ready to go for the stadium. They've got one end zone painted orange with Boise State written in blue, and the Penn State end zone is navy with white Penn State across the end zone. So it looks like they're ready to go.
Bob, let's get right into it. What is the excitement level for the Bronco Nation leading into this Fiesta Bowl against Penn State? Obviously, another number 3 seed here in the college football playoff, an underdog in the Las Vegas score books, but that doesn't matter to Boise State. So what is the excitement level for this football game?
Well, the excitement level is off the charts. Boise State sold their complete allotment in about as fast a time as it took to sell the tickets. They've been to the Fiesta Bowl 3 times. I know Penn State's been 7, and combined they're 10-0 in Fiesta Bowls. But this team has been it's been special. Every game has been sold out this year. Ashton Jeanty has had a special season, and just the personality of head coach Spencer Danielson in his first full season, and with some of the guys like Jeanty, I don't mean to say that the town and the state have not embraced people in the past, because they certainly have, but I think there's been an extra special level of embracing this team. And maybe it's because, it's a playoff. Before, when Boise State's gone to the Fiesta Bowl, you knew it was going to be the final game, whether they beat Oklahoma, TCU, or Arizona, or lost to them. You win the Fiesta Bowl and that's it. This time, whoever wins the Boise State-Penn State game is going to face the winner of Notre Dame, Georgia in the semifinals.
Bob, we don't deal a lot with the so-called, if you talk about power conferences, the so-called non-power conference teams that win all the time, like Boise State does. We usually are dealing with the ones that Penn State will play early in the year because they're paying them to come. And
we'd love to have you guys come. You think they want to play a game on the blue turf?
Yeah.
I think I can arrange it. Yeah.
I can't believe that James Franklin would not jump at that deal. But anyway, where I'm going with this is there a little bit of an attitude among the fans, among the players of we wish we would be in the big leagues, and you are in the big leagues, but you're not in that power conference. They come off the airplane with T-shirts that say, "Please count us out."
Yeah.
A little bit.
Always has been, and I think that's one of the reasons why this team is so focused and does so well in these kind of games. I think if you allowed a Boise State fan, and I'll even put myself in it as somebody that's been here now for 17 years and grew up in California, I think the perfect thing would have been, had the Pac-12 had stayed in existence, if Boise State could have got a membership to it, maybe go to the Pac-14, or, to play the likes of Oregon, Washington, USC, those teams year in, year out. I think if we were allowed to write a script, I would think maybe that's where they would have liked to be. Not only, is Boise State, not getting an invite into the Power Fives, but the Pac-12 that they're going into is not the same Pac-12 that, that most of us that lived on the West Coast for a lot of years, thinks of when they think of that, with, the USCs and the like, UCLA, Washington, Oregon, and those. But, you can only do with what you have. And Boise State, I think the thing that's been the most impressive to me, when you look back to all the days, going back even to the junior college days, no matter what league they have been in, they have won. They have found a way to be the best team in the league, going back, Mountain West now, back to the WAC, back to the Big West, back to the Big Sky. So every league, no matter what level they've been at, they found a way to win their league. And I think that, to me, says a lot about the program, and probably more so about the community, because the community is the constant from year to year, that the people supporting it, coming to the games, the donors making it possible. So I think this is a a community effort of why Boise State is good year after year.
Hey, Bob, I think Penn State fans know they've heard a lot about how Penn State is a favorite in this game, about the things you just talked about. They've heard a lot about Ashton Jeanty and how good he is. From your perspective, from the Boise perspective, what's the confidence in winning this game? And is there an avenue to doing it if Ashton Jeanty doesn't say run wild, go for over 125, 130?
Yeah, I mean, I think Ashton Jeanty probably is going to have to come up with 150 yards to win the game, and I don't think because he's been that part of the offense, and I mean he's had 267 on the high end, and his lowest I think was like 127, and that was in one of the games where we only played the first half. So I think they need him to be the guy for them. I mean, I don't think he has to have 200 yards to win this game, but the number to beat Barry Sanders' all-time single season record is 132. I think he has to have 132 to win the game. Maddox Madsen, I think, has improved a lot as a quarterback, but they have not been the passing team as compared to what they've done on the ground running the ball. So, Penn State can say, we've only allowed one 100-yard running back, but they haven't faced Ashton Jeanty yet. So I think the key for Boise State is I think their offensive line with two starters from the beginning of the year back. I think that how much of a holes and how much they can do against the front of Penn State, I think is going to be the key to the game.
Bob, one of the things that impresses me about Boise State's history is that they've continued to win and win and win with a fair amount of turnover in coaches. A lot of different coaches have been there and been very successful. And actually, this is a very unusual situation for a program that's good to have, lost their coach last year. And so anyway, tell us a little bit about Spencer Danielson in the context of all the other guys that have been there and been successful.
Well, I think one of the things that's made them all good that have been here is that everybody, at least the ones I've worked with, have all been themselves. I think Coach Pete was different than Coach Harsin, and Coach Harsin's different than Coach Danielson. Even Coach Avalos, who was here for a short amount of time, is a different persona, but I think they play to their strengths. I don't know that I've ever worked with a coach, and I've been in this business working at 3 different universities for, since 1986, that Coach Danielson has just this quality about him that people just want to perform, and he encourages people and puts people in the best spot to be successful. So I think that's why, I don't know that he's not, but I don't know that he's a great, the greatest tactician out there. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. But I think his single greatest strength in coaching is that he gets people to buy in, he gets people to want to improve, and he puts people in the best spot to be successful. And, he's lost, 2 games as a coach. The one was to UCLA last year in the bowl game when we had to start a third string quarterback that had never played. So it was kind of like a tough go in that game. And then lost on the last second field goal to Oregon in Eugene in week 2. And, that game, you kind of have to pin on special teams. I mean, normally if you give up a kick return or a punt return, you give up a return in a tight game, you're going to lose. They gave up 2 and they almost won.
I know.
So, I mean, it's been a great year. And I think Coach Danielson, he's the first one to give everybody else credit. But in my books, he needs to be right at the front of the line with, Ashton Jeanty and all the players and other coaches as well. They've done a heck of a job this year.
Bob, what are you most excited to see or learn from this game tomorrow night? Is there something about it, about the matchup, that you are most intrigued about seeing how it plays out?
I want to see what kind of start Boise State can get off to in the game. In all 3 Fiesta Bowls that they've won, they've gotten ahead in the first quarter. And I think in this game, I think it is important to get ahead, especially when maybe you are the underdog. But I want to see how the first 6-7 minutes of the game play out. I thought SMU in their game with Penn State basically handed them the game in the first quarter. I mean, I thought it goes back to the play where the quarterback could have run for the first down on 4th down, and all of a sudden he decides he doesn't want to run and throws the ball. So I think you got to be in the game early. And I think if Boise State can score first and get ahead, say you're ahead 7-0 to start things, then all of a sudden, Penn State's playing from behind. So I want to see what kind of start they can get out of this game. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Bob, I'm right there with you. I thought the SMU game for Penn State was over on that play. Actually, they could have just packed them up and sent everybody home. That was my thought on that one. I have a Heisman Trophy winning running back from Penn State over my shoulder. Ashton Jeanty thought he should have won the Heisman Trophy.
I can't see the picture. Who's it of?
It's John Capoletti from Penn State.
Okay, great.
Just as a football fan and a fan of the game, I've had a lot of Penn State fans ask me, Ashton Jeanty is the best running back Penn State has faced since when? I said Zeke Elliott going back to Ohio State. How would you compare Ashton Jeanty's style to and kind of his toughness as he wears people down?
Well, we've had a lot of really good running backs here. I mean, Jay Ajayi, the last time we were in the Fiesta Bowl, went on to play for the Dolphins and Eagles, set the school record for running, and he's done a better job than Jay. Jay was fantastic. We had Doug Martin, who went on to be a number 1 pick for Tampa Bay, and then also a little later played with the Raiders. I'm just trying to think of who I would put him in a class with. I mean, he's tough to bring down. When you're calling his plays, the first game of the season, I realized you've got to be ready to go on every snap, because I was told that we were going to alternate a right guard in the first game of the season at Georgia Southern. And so I'm looking on our second drive, the score 0-0. I'm looking at my binoculars, who's at right guard? And I'm talking about, well, are they going to swap right guards? Or are they going to keep the same guy for the second one? And they've handed the ball to Jeanty, and all of a sudden I'm trying to track him down in my call because I got to get the handoff to Jeanty and then try to catch up with him as he's sprinting down. Yeah. He's also a guy, you better wrap him up, because so many of the tackles, you think he's going to be stopped, and then all of a sudden he squirts out of the pile and goes another 30 yards in the other direction. And you just don't, you don't see that coming. I don't know who I would compare him with. I mean, he's not overly tall, but boy, is he thick. And he's thick in the chest. He's thick in the legs. I think he has tremendous vision. He makes people miss, but he can also run over people. He can also run by you. There have been a lot of really good running backs, and he's been real durable too. I mean, he had that elbow injury, it looked like, against UNLV about halfway through the season, ended up wearing a brace. I'm kind of thinking he may not have to wear it on Tuesday, tomorrow, but he's been wonderful. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Zeke Elliott was really good with Ohio State, so if you want to compare him to him, he's a really good comparison. I don't know. Who do you want to go back to Herschel Walker if you want to go further than that?
Well, I think size-wise, Barry Sanders, who might be the best in college football history, size-wise and sort of the way making people miss, that might be the one that jumps to my mind.
Yeah. I mean, and for those people that are going to be doing this, maybe 20 years down the road, they're going to ask about a running back for either Boise State or Penn State. Oh, how does he compare to Ashton Jeanty, right?
Yeah, right. That's right. That's right. One of the things that Danielson said this morning, Bob, was that when they made the coaching change, they were kind of at a tipping point, maybe, where it could have gone one way or the other. And Ashton Jeanty's decision to stay with the program had a domino effect with other guys doing that too, and kind of was a key to them that decision, in addition to what he's done in the field, was a key to them being where they are.
100%. And I think it starts with Coach Danielson, because the players went and lobbied for Coach Danielson. And at the end of the season, and I think if Boise State had not kept him, I think a lot of people would not be on this roster right now. But I think the players, and Ashton Jeanty included, I put the money where their mouth is, and you're going to keep. I've seen sometimes where people lobby for somebody to stay and then they transfer or something. No, I mean, we lost one guy, basically. We lost Taylon Green to Arkansas, and he's done a nice job for them at quarterback. But Maddox Madsen's done a nice job here for Boise State too. So, this team is basically, I describe it as a baseball team. It's a homegrown team. not a lot of free agents. I mean, our transfer wide receiver Cam Campers come in from Indiana and has been really good. I don't count JUCO transfers because JUCO transfers have been in college football forever. I'm looking at 4-year transfers where they don't have to sit out. To me, that's the free agents like you'd see in the pros. So, there've been a couple. We've had a couple DBs, one from Washington and one from Cal. They've been good, but I mean, they haven't been like, it's not like they're Ashton Genty coming in, where you see some guys like Cam Ward going to Miami. To me, is a free agent that signed that changes things. Boise State's guys that have come in have been solid players that have helped out, but they haven't been like superstars.
So, Bob, if Penn State does somewhat limit Ashton, just somewhat limit him, can they win the game with their quarterback and their pass game? Do they have the ability to do it, or do you see this as just that's the ultimate tipping point for the game?
I think you'd have to ask what kind of game this is going to be. Is this game going to be 20-13? Or is this game going to all of a sudden, Penn State puts points on the board and makes this thing a shootout, then all of a sudden it makes it more difficult, if Genty's not running. I think a lot of it's going to come down to, and I think yards are going to be tough to come by for both sides. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game, or fairly low-scoring game. Now watch it be 49-47 or something. But, I mean, anything, if somebody's been, I think that's one of the things that Penn State's done a good job at on offense. I don't know that they've had one area that's been dominant. I don't know if, Aller's been pretty good. The running backs have been pretty good. The tight end, I think, has been really good, but it's sort of across the board. A lot of different people have chipped in, and I don't mean to say that it's just all Ashton Genty, because I think the offensive line's done a tremendous job, and I think the receivers do a really good job blocking downfield. But, if you're having somebody that probably, I don't know, I haven't done the math, but he's probably at least 40% of their yardage in the season, that, if you tell me that, well, he's not going to get to 100 yards, I do think it's going to be difficult. But Penn State's got to stop him. I mean, his lowest total is, he's been around, if he plays a full game, around 140 to 150 every game. Maybe Penn State hasn't seen anybody that good, and they'll get shredded as well.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't think they have seen anybody as good as this kid.
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about Coach Spencer Danielson. We live in an era of specialization, not only with players, but also with coaches. I asked this because Stacey Collins was at Penn State. So has he been the most popular guy in the locker room and on the staff since the end of the regular season, knowing that Penn State might be a matchup? And coaches are going to him. What are they picking his brain about to know this Penn State team with his time here with the Nittany Lions as the special teams coordinator? And we loved him here. We love dealing with him in the media.
We had him here first, and then he went to you guys for 2 years. No, I think Stacey's a great guy. Kids like him a lot. I think, I'm sure they picked his brain, probably asking questions about tendencies and all kinds of things. I'm sure it probably has helped some, but I mean, in the end, it's going to be, is Penn State going to be able to stop Genty? Is Genty going to be able to, get the yardage that he needs, to move the chains for Boise State? Which team doesn't fumble? Which team doesn't throw the interception? The knowledge of who's on the other side probably helps some, but I think it might be overrated.
How about a prediction from Bob?
I think it's going to be low scoring. I'll go with something like Boise State 24 and Penn State 17, something that's, lower. I'd be surprised if this thing's going to be a track meet, but I think that this game is going to be tight. I think it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be fun to watch. I'll go 24-17.
And then the biggest win in Boise State history then, right?
Some would say it still might be the Oklahoma Fiesta Bowl. I think I would not say that. I think I would say it would be the biggest win because it allows you to play another game. I think the biggest difference between bowl games in the past, if you won a bowl game 50-0 or you lost a bowl game 50-0, it was the last game of the season. So I would think it would probably go down. And one of the things Spencer Danielson always says, the most important game is the next game. So it would be the most important or best win until Boise State would beat Georgia or Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl if that were to happen. So I think all these games the deeper you get into the playoffs, the more important and the more impressive and the bigger they win. I mean, Penn State's won a national title before, so they're probably not going to say a win over Boise State or a win over Georgia or Notre Dame next week would be the biggest win in school history. They might say it for, the next game after that. If they beat, I don't know, who would it beat? Texas, Oregon, Ohio State. Those are the guys on the other side of the bracket. If, would that be the best run because it's the long format? Maybe, I don't know. But I think, you're either arguing for the Oklahoma game still, or you're arguing for for this. We were talking. My broadcast partner Pete Cavender was on the team, and the question was asked is this the best team Boise State has faced in Fiesta Bowls? And then they had Adrian Peterson. I mean, a lot of these things you kind of look at. Okay, maybe they have a better this. Penn State has a better that, but certainly. We played a lot of bowl games, but I would say that this is either one or two as far as the top opponents Boise State has played as well.
Well, I'll never forget where I was, Courtney Campbell Causeway, coming back from Clearwater when Ian Johnson ran into Statue of Liberty play, listening on ESPN radio. I'll never forget that, or Westwood One, whatever it was at the time. Certainly a great moment in college football history, and it's pretty cool. Penn State and Boise State. Penn State and the Fiesta Bowl go hand in hand. Both kind of led to the rise in the programs and what the Fiesta Bowl can today, and the Fiesta Bowl helped make Boise State's program. We have both programs in the current state looking to make the next step in the college.
I'll tell you what, combined 10-0. I mean, we love our 3-0, and they've been great. And then you look at Penn State and like, wow, they've won 7. So something's going to give. I guess with the way the rules are, and especially since the winner moves on, we're not going to see a tie. So somebody's going to win, whether we play the funky 2-point conversions and, I don't know, what have we seen, like 6 and 7 overtimes or something in some of these games. So who knows? Maybe we'll be doing that in the wee hours of the morning and trying to come up with a winner here.
Well, Bob, we appreciate you taking the time, especially the day before a game. And best of luck. Enjoy the Fiesta Bowl. For Mike, Frank, and Bob, I'm Andrew Klissa. Thanks for listening to this edition of Blue White Tailgate Podcast. Have a good one and a Happy New Year, everyone.